Classic Metal Show right here on the classicmetalshow.com. No, that wasn't metal, but it certainly is a cool, uplifting song for the moment. That was called Let's Get Through This. It is Joey Sykes. He is a master guitarist. He's an even better songwriter. You know, it's a weird thing because he's known for a lot of bands, but people, I don't think, give him near enough credit for his solo stuff and his songwriting. And on the line and on Skype with us right now is the guitarist himself and the vocalist. It is Mr. Joey Sykes. Joey, how are you, man?
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Dude.
Are you ready for some soft metal? A soft metal interview?
Yeah, exactly. Now, well, you know what, man, and I know you know this about me, man. I love all kinds of music. So
I do know that, yeah.
Certainly, I'm game for promoting anything that I think is good, and I've been telling you for a very long time how much I enjoy your music, whether it's with the Babies or away from the Babies, whether it's solo stuff or Honey River or whatnot. So I'm more than happy to share what I like with our fans that, you know, let's be honest. There's a lot of guys that beat their chest and go, oh, I'm all metal. And you know what? They're the same guys that are listening to Oasis and pop stuff and whatnot in their car as well. So it's all good.
Yeah. I mean, we have so many mutual metal friends. Like, you know, it's so funny. Like I'm really close to a lot of guys that you always interview, like Tommy Henriksen and John Levin and even like Jeff Pilson, stuff like that. So, and we're all basically music minded, first and foremost, but I mean, we have our relationships outside of that would probably crack people up. It's just, you know, very not metal.
Well, and you know what the weird thing is too, is as far as being classified as rock or metal or whatnot, you know, especially as a guitarist, you could pretty much take anything that you would play as a rock song, add some amplification to it, and, you know, a bigger backbeat with a bigger arena style drum kit, and now all of a sudden it would classify as metal. But, you know, it really is not such an overriding thing that there's a difference between rock and metal. It just,
no, I know,
it's the loudness of it, you know?
I agree. I'm just kidding around. I mean, you know, some of my favorite bands are like, you know, my version of what I like as far as it's not metal, but, you know, like early Aerosmith,
sure,
you know, a lot of that stuff, even Bad Company, early Aerosmith, bands like, well, the Babies' early stuff was, you know, ironically some of my favorite stuff. Now I'm in the band, which is pretty funny. But no, but I like all that stuff, and obviously Van Halen first record. I love old UFO. So, you know, that's my version of like how heavy that when I was, you know, a really, really young kid, because I've been playing guitar since I'm like 8.
Right.
So, you know, it started to kick in when I could play that kind of stuff like 10, 11 years old, you know. Then I started playing bars when I was like 15. So I go way back.
Very good, man.
Yeah.
Well, Joey, you're getting a lot of attention right now with this song, Let's Get Through This, man. And it's, you know, it's the right song in my mind. It's timely, and not only is it timely, but it's kind of the right message to be sending people in what is a difficult time for everybody. So, you know, for you as a songwriter and as a creator, talk about your decision to write this song right at this time and put it out, because, you know, it is, like I said, it's very timely.
Yeah. Well, I had the title of the song, Let's Get Through This, you know, like 2 years ago, but I never finished the song. So I just had that hook, and I was like, man, this is very catchy. You know, when I was playing it on guitar, never finished it. So when this all started happening and it started to get really serious early on, I said, I got to finish that song, you know, because I'm always thinking of lyrics and songs. So I just pretty much tailored the lyric to what's going on, and I specifically didn't want it to be a depressing song. I wanted it to be a little moment of uplifting message, and even down to the production and the sound of it. I wanted it to be not too poppy, but like have a little bit of a reggae kind of, like, you know, where people can just kind of feel good for a minute, you know, and that's what I set out to do.
Yeah, and you've absolutely done that. And I'll tell you what, you have social media, I have social media. At this point in time, everybody needs something uplifting and not not beating each other up with the whole, pandemic and politics.
Oh yeah.
Everything is so negative right now. It's just good to have something topical, man.
And like, of course, when I released the song about a month ago, a couple of weeks ago, and of course, like every time I'm listening to the news or whatever, I hear that phrase so much, oh, we're gonna get through this, we're gonna get through this, and I'm like in my head, why can't the song just be on every like morning shows and radio? I'm trying, but trying to do it myself with a very small team, man. As you know, it's brutal. I just wish I could get a little more traction, but we're trying.
Yeah, well, and that's it, man. Is what? And it's such a hard time. It's such a hard time for musicians right now. For everybody's trying to do their best to I don't want to say capitalize because that's the wrong word, but to more or less to stay active. And you guys, you musicians, you're so used to your entire infrastructure is built being somewhere else, whether it's on a stage in another city, with other people, with crowds. It's like every element of what you do except for songwriting has been stripped away. And yet you're using it to your advantage, whether it's putting out a song like this, or I know you spend a lot of time on YouTube, just kind of riffing and whatnot for people that are fans of yours to just kind of see in different elements of yourself. Has it been difficult for you to kind of change direction so much and then, be creative in a new way?
I'm a full-time, producer, songwriter, guitar player, gigger, live shows. So, I mean, whatever it is at that moment, I have to switch gears, but it's always with music in mind. So, I mean, for me, I have my recording studio. I converted my garage into a recording studio. So I'm very lucky in that way where other than losing the live gigs, which is very important financially, other than that part of it, I'm probably getting more done now than ever because I'm forced to stay home and just like, I wake up early. I don't really sleep much. I get up, have some coffee, and I'm out, recording or just trying to be productive. So I am trying to do as much as I can right now.
Sure. Now, what are you working on? Are you working on baby stuff or Honey River stuff or true solo stuff, or what exactly are you working on?
I am so all over the map right now. It's kind of funny. The thing I did not do yet is those live, Facebook Live, because everyone is doing them, and that's not to say bad things about them. I mean, everyone's got the tip jar out and everything. Probably some people are making pretty good money, but it just was so crowded. I was just like, I don't even know what I would find in the moment when no one else is doing it. So I just kind of put it on the back burner. I still might do one, but working on my own stuff. I'm actually working with Frank Domino from Angel.
Oh, cool.
On some of his solo stuff, maybe, hopefully, he's going to put out a record, and we kind of have about maybe 3 to 5 ideas going. And, I love Angel. I love Frank. So hopefully some of that stuff sees the light of day. Writing stuff with John Basaha, Babies. Same deal. Doing my own stuff. I even learned how to make my own music videos, which is, I'm in the middle of my first one, so I'm starting on iMovie, but I'm probably going to go over to Final Cut, when I get it down, because I just have so many songs that were never really properly released, and it makes me mad, So I'm like, I know people like to watch videos, so I'm just setting up little cameras and getting some footage, and it's fun, man. It's very time consuming, but it's fun.
And you know what the interesting thing is I think people. And I'm a tech guy too, and I literally in the last year have taught myself video production. I didn't know it. I was scared of it. And it's funny that if you know how to do audio production, it's really kind of the same thing. It's just with a picture. It's really just kind of layer this, layer that, cut.
You know what, man? You can learn anything. I mean, it's learning anything. It's before you know something, you feel like you're never going to be able to do it. Then once you dive in and you've got to make yourself some notes, whatever it is, That's what you do, and eventually you learn it. It's the same thing with me with recording with Pro Tools. Back, I don't know, I've been doing Pro Tools maybe for 15 years now, but before that, every time I wrote a batch of songs, I'd have to figure out, get some money together and go call my friends who were producers, and then I would make a demo, $5,000 later. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I just said, nah, that ain't gonna, I can't do that. As much as I write, I couldn't do that. So I just bogged down and, bought Pro Tools, learned it, and, had to do it. You have to do it if you're a songwriter or a musician, So
Sure.
same deal.
Does having that knowledge now, though, make it, and I'm basing this only on the knowledge that I have of every one of you musician guys out there. Having that knowledge actually makes it tougher to finish a song, no? Because you guys are so, I would change this, I would change that. And now you have the ability to change that. Do you ever finish something, or do you just kind of say, okay, that's enough for now, but then hate it forever after you're done?
You know what? My version of like the happy medium is I don't mix. So
Okay.
if I was also a mixer, then I'd be going back to the mixes 8 million times. So I just tracking guitars and bass and singing and stuff like that. It's just instincts, So I'm not going to beat myself over the head trying a million different things, So the song is the song. I always feel like once you write a good song, it's kind of hard to mess up, because you could choose a drum sound and how amped up you want the drums to be or not. What kind of guitar? I got a bunch of guitars to choose from, so I don't go crazy with that. When I did a record, a real record back in 1997, I had a band called Coward, and we were on Elektra, and we had a producer, Jerry Finn, who has since passed away, but he did Green Day and Blink-182, and so that was my first big, a record, making a record like with that level, and it was like Bearsville in New York, Conway in L.A., all these really great studios. So that was when you're forced to make a record for 2 months or whatever, and
Right.
really nitpicking every single thing and tuning and blah blah blah. That's when it gets a little more hectic. But for me in my home studio, I don't go that crazy. I really don't.
Sure. Well, Joey, since you mentioned a little bit about your past, tell people about your history as a musician, because, I think there's a lot of people, surface level, they're like, okay, well, he's the new rhythm guy in the Babies. And that's kind of where it ends for a lot of people, but you have quite a lot of history prior to the current doing Honey River and doing the Babies.
Yeah, I'm probably the music industry's worst salesman, because I just kind of I don't name drop and I stay under the radar, I always just love, I'm all about the songs, like just want to be involved, whether it's my songs or being in a band with great songs or great musicians, but if a quick synopsis or whatever, like I would say that when I was really young, like right out of high school, there was a band called Boys Town, and it was like a melodic rock kind of thing, and we were managed by the owners of the China Club. There was a famous club in New York called the China Club, so they were our managers, and we did a lot of cool things. We had a singles deal in England, so we went to England for a couple of months. Then after that, Coward, that band, we got signed to Elektra. That was 1996.
Right.
We toured around the country with Third Eye Blind a lot. They were on the same label as us. After that, my friend Tommy Henriksen, who's in Hollywood Vampires and Alice Cooper, he got a record deal on Capitol right at that time, around 99, and he was in L.A. So he's like, Sykes, come out here, do this with me, because we know each other from New York, and he's like one of my close friends and my favorite people. And so I did. I just, left the band, folded up Coward, and I just drove across the country with my guitars and my amp and played with Tommy. And then Tommy Henriksen after that led to Meredith Brooks, who,
Right.
bitch, I'm a bitch.
Yeah.
So played guitar for her, and that was pretty cool. Like being we played Madison Square Garden, opened up for Eurythmics, Staples Center and Jay Leno and all that shit. So that was really cool. After that, that was in LA. I went back to New York and just, I don't know, around 2000, 2001 for a couple of years. Then I came back to LA full time in 2005. And then that, 2013 or whatever, all that time I've been just writing songs and producing and going to Nashville a lot. And then the Babies came up, and that was 2013, and joined the Babies and put Honey River together a couple of years ago. So that's the quick version,
Sure. Well, with the Babies, one of the things that is, an interesting thing for you is the Babies just put out a reworked anthology, which is the, it's the kind of the greatest hits, but done with the current
new lineup, right?
As well as a collection of new songs as well. And one of the things that stands out to me is a lot of those songs are your songs. They're you did the heavy lifting kind of on a lot of the writing. How was it that you, as the quote unquote new guy, were able to convince these veteran guys to take your music and adapt it more or less to the Babies sound?
Well, I'm such a Babies fan, first and foremost, and going back to day one, I was writing for the new Babies before I was in the band.
Okay.
So that's kind of the history of it, is like, somebody knew somebody and I came aboard just to kind of lend my songwriting with them. And, the couple songs that I had that were just mine, but for the most part really was thinking about the Babies when I was writing for whatever it was going to be. I knew the sensibility of what they were going for, even when they were a 70s band. I knew that they loved Free and Bad Company. I knew Wally loved Kossoff, and obviously Tony Brock's drumming was so legendary, so he's going to do his thing anyway. And so I just, I really kept that in mind. Every Baby song I've written for the new stuff was definitely keeping the band and the history of the band in mind, because I'm such a fan. So I kind of knew about that,
Sure. And it totally fits. I mean, when, you guys actually, when you first put this out before the newest release, you guys charted, which is a testament to you as a writer, that you were able to write something that was immediately identifiable to a band that you had not been in their historic, early days. That's very much a testament to you as a songwriter, that you were able to capture that and continue that.
And, the first thing I wrote when I first came aboard was Not Ready to Say Goodbye, and so, musically I was really just channeling, like every time I think of You and Isn't It Time, I was channeling that, and then like Back on My Feet Again, parts of it, like, but lyrically, I just had that in mind. Like, the band broke up so early, way too early, in 1981. And so this was lyrically a continuation of like saying to the fans, we're not ready to say goodbye, back, So that was, and there's a lot of lyrics that I wrote, a handful of songs that have that kind of sentiment, Even Every Time I See You There, the first single that was on, YouTube, we did a video, that still had those elements. Like, it could be about a relationship. Every time I see you there, I get all this time back that I lost. But I really was thinking about it could mean two things. You could say the same thing about the fans. I lost all that time, and life steals all these moments from you. But every time I see you there, I get that moment back. So that's the lyric of I See You There. And there's a couple other ones if I have to think about it, but that have that kind of sentiment, like with the time went by and we want to continue and have good moments.
Sure. Well, and it has to be for you exciting when you get out there on stage and seeing how much the fans, really love this music. You really are creating, the Babies are one of those bands, like you said, they went away way too soon. And John Waite went off and did his solo thing and whatever. And I get it, and he had success. So you can't really fault him. But at the same time, it's very clear, and I've been to quite a few of the shows now, it's very clear that there were a lot of people that were loving that band, still love the band, and were carried it on even with, 20, 30 years of inactivity.
I mean, I've spoken to so many people at different levels, like even in music. Even like last year, Tommy Hendrickson was with the Vampires doing a gig, and I was hanging out with him for the day, so we were driving around with a couple of people, and so Nikki Sixx was on the phone, and Tommy had him on FaceTime or whatever, so he was kind of like talking to everybody, and I never met Nikki, so Tommy was saying, hey, here's everyone, showing to Nikki, this is Joey Sykes, he's in the Babies. So Nikki was like, dude, he's like, it's one of my favorite bands.
Nice.
It's just so funny. So it's like that kind of stuff is crazy. And they're just, they were a moment in rock history, and in my opinion, if they would have stayed together when MTV came out, I think really the game would have changed. Because it was so visual,
Sure, absolutely, and it's really cool now, to see it continue, and you do a great job, and obviously John does a great job, in what is the hardest job, you replace an iconic singer, and you always get those people that for you for it, but John does a fantastic job of it and energizes the crowd. I mean, it's an energetic, fun show, and that's one of those things that is a lot of times the crux of bands that continue on is they continue on, they play the songs, but they don't make it a show anymore. It's just working through the songs. You guys do a fun show that engages the audience, and it really doesn't feel like you guys are there and we're out here. It just is one of those, okay, everybody's singing, everybody's having a good time.
Hey, man, it's a different element, like we're not playing Coliseums, just the way it is, when I joined this band to play live with them, I really wanted Wally Stocker and Tony Brock to really have a second moment because it's their band. Sure. I'm just going to add what I can add to it, maybe a little energy, a little youth to the live show, but I would never think about stepping on Wally, or I really want him to have his moment. Whenever I'm live, I just like, if I go over to him on his side, I'm always kind of behind him. That's by design. I'm not going to like get up in front of him and start like, dueling, and I just want him to, have a comfort with me and have his moment. I do what I do. Like you said, people don't even know what I do, and that's fine. I mean, people don't know I wrote a bunch of songs. People don't even know my history. They look at some guy up there, who's that guy? And then at the end of the show, they probably go, he was pretty cool. and what am I going to do? I'm going to like have a tutorial on what I've done. It's just, they find out or they don't find out, and same thing with Tony. I want him to have his moment and feel good about even doing it again. And John makes it his own, and he's in such a hard position to fill, obviously, So for him to come in and sing those songs and play bass at the same time and get new fans, that Babies fans love John now, and and Babettes, and it's cool. Wish we could do it more, but
no doubt.
Who knows?
Well, hopefully when this pandemic nonsense ends, you guys will get to do it. Talk a little bit about, how that really has sidelined you guys, because it's, right at the time that you released the record, bang, this happens. It's like, wow, the timing could not have been worse for the Babies.
Not only did it sideline us and everybody, I honestly, I'm tuned it out of my head. I can't even, I don't know what it's going to look like, when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen, where bands are going to be able to play, where, fans are in the audience a foot away from each other, breathing on everybody, So that's exactly what they're saying not to do, and you wouldn't want to do that. So I'm hoping they figure some stuff out, and maybe it looks differently or whatever, but I can't imagine there being no concerts and no, so I just don't know, man. But it's really sad, to be honest with you. Can't sugarcoat it.
No, and it's sad. It's frustrating. It is what it is. But hopefully, as the song says, let's get through this. We'll get to the other side, man.
Yeah, and that's the lyric in the song. It'll be better on the other side. So yeah, I mean that's really what I'm pushing at the moment. I know we kind of went on because I could talk to you for a long time, but I'm really pushing that song. Let's get through this, and the video's up on YouTube. I think it's just went over 6,000 views. It was just played on Tom Petty Radio on Sirius, which was great. And Steve Ferroni, the Petty drummer, was the DJ, and he said some really nice things about the song, and he really dug it. And it's getting a little bit of airplay, and I'm just trying to get it on more, maybe some morning shows and whatever other radio, and who knows, maybe it could be a little hit at this time,
Absolutely. Real quick, I just want to talk about a couple of other songs, and it's more not necessarily the songs, but it's more the style that you present. I know we're talking a lot about you playing guitar, but you're a great singer. Not even a good singer. You are a really great singer, and you have a style in my mind that almost seems like you would be much better suited to be almost playing in England, playing for those people that are so starved for like Oasis and that type of a sound. And I'll point to songs like that, That's American Life, or If I Hide, as two examples. They really have that kind of Beatlesque type of a sound to them. Have you ever considered going over there or marketing over there? Because it really seems like that suits you.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. That's my favorite anyway, the Beatles. But yeah, it always comes down to resources and money and stuff like that. If you don't have a label or an investor who's going to like kind of champion you for a year or so, it's just hard to do, man. It's like, I guess if I was 20 and maybe I could scrounge up some money and find some places to crash, and maybe I could pull something like that off. But with things the way they are, I don't know. I would love to. I'd love to give it a whirl there, but my style is very much like that. It's like a modern day Badfinger, Beatles, The Who. That's like some of my favorite stuff. So that's really kudos to you to pick up on all that.
What do you want to be? When people say your name, what do you want people to think? Guitarist, songwriter, singer? Which piece would make you most happy? If you were getting your Grammy, would you want to be introduced as a guitarist, a singer, or a songwriter?
Songwriter.
Okay.
Yeah, songwriter is the one. It's like because I just get so much. It's so rewarding to write a great song, and it's so hard to write a great song. Because you try to, for me anyway, I try to write a lyric that hasn't been done a million times, something a little clever, but not overly clever, because some people do that and write so vague and so like out there, and it's like, what is that guy talking about, or that girl, whatever. So I just try to, I don't know, I just really try to write a great song that a lot of people can feel maybe in their life, and then throw the great melodies, like that's where the Beatles and all that stuff comes in, melodic and stuff like that. Production, I like to keep it, not too heavy. I have done that, and I could do that, but just like kind of those jangly, more like the Who kind of production and Beatles and stuff, in that genre, that would suit me just fine. But like a song like He Never Cried is just so simple. But it could be country, but not really. Right. But the lyric basically is just about probably a million of our fathers who could never tell their kids I love you, or never cry because they thought it was like, not tough,
Right.
Especially for me growing up in Long Island, Italian, American from Long Island. Everyone was like that. I mean, it's like, that tough exterior, and you could never even picture somebody saying "I love you," to your kid. And it's not a bad thing. It's just what they know. So that's what He Never Cried is about. You know.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, Joey. Why don't we play "He Never Cried" and wrap up with that? How's that sound?
On the metal show?
Yeah, why not? Unless you
man.
got to play one of yours. What do you want to play?
No, hey, I love that one, but I mean, you might get people mad at you. You could direct them to me.
You know what? If they're mad at me, so be it. They know who I am.
Okay, so this is going to be Chris Aiken's most unmetal song ever.
Exactly.
Joey Sykes.
Go. Let's check it out. Joey, where should people go online to keep up with you and follow you and, get your products and all that stuff?
There's a website, joeysykes.com, SYKES. And don't put John Sykes in. It's Joey. joeysykes.com. My Instagram is Joey Sykes 903. Okay. And then, Facebook fan page, Joey Sykes Music. You could find me. Yeah.
Well, let's check it out right now. Here's some brand new stuff, or not really brand new, but here's some Joey Sykes right here on your Classic Metal Show.
Thanks, Chris.